to start seated this morning. So just notice what you may need to be comfortable for a few minutes to get centered. Willingness to use props. I'm sitting on a block and a blanket. So that helps my hips be a little bit more comfortable for a while, my low back. So what would help you be comfortable? Just take a moment to make any last minute adjustments. And find your breath. I'd like to offer a mudra this morning. So mudras are hand gestures, and this one is called Shiva Lingam mudra. So our palm, left palm up, just slightly cupped. We're going to take our right hand, just gently, like you're grabbing something with the fingers, clasp the hand and the thumb up, and we place that in the left palm, right at the belly. Really check in if there's any tension. We want to do the best we can at relaxing the shoulders and yet staying upright in the spine. And rather than trying to bring the elbows into the side body, let them relax out a bit. Shiva Lingam mudra. So mudras, there's a lot of them. And they all deal with different energies in the body. They help us physically, emotionally, mentally. And the more consistently we use them, the more we notice the effects. And so what I'll offer you what this mudra is about, and the intention is to also find acceptance with whatever arises for you. So this mudra is about getting grounded, connecting into the earth. It is balancing for the first and second chakra energy bodies. It's good for all three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Okay, so it's balancing for all three doshas and for the nervous system. And it's about trust, confidence, and allowing or acceptance of what is. So if this is something that's a new concept for you and there's a sense of like the eyes rolling back in the head of, okay, whatever, that's okay, just be there. I used to be there for many years when I began my practice, because this practice meets you right where you are. So whatever this feels like to you, my intention for practices this morning is about acceptance. Just accept yourself wherever you are right now, both physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And this mudra is really about that idea of acceptance. And so to begin with this mudra, we're going to find our breath. We're going to slowly deepen it, even it out. And we're breathing into the belly and the pelvic bowl. So the sense of expansion in that first and second chakra area as we take the breath in, and we can imagine the breath drawing in from the earth all the way up through the spine. And then on the exhale, it's just a letting go. It's a surrendering back into the earth what no longer serves you. So inhaling, taking the nourishment in from the earth. Allow the earth to take back what you're ready to let go of. And all with the intention of acceptance. Allow the belly to softly expand on the inhale, gently contract back toward the spine on exhale. in accepting, or in the idea of acceptance, we allow ourselves to be in the practice with whatever arises. And this practice meets us exactly where we are. So oftentimes we want to judge an experience as bad or wrong. We question ourselves, is this right? And instead, if we just allow and accept whoever is here in a loving acceptance, and be open to what the practice has to show you. So an open heart, an open mind. If you're willing, maintain this mudra, Shiva Lingam mudra, and we'll check in with our koshas, the layers of our being, beginning with the physical body, the most external layer. Maybe a little scan from head to toe. Noticing areas that are asking for your attention and care today. Notice your breath and energy bodies. You might notice sensations just beneath the skin. Some of you may be connected into a chakra that feels out of order. That's part of your energy body. How is the quality of your breath today? Is there some congestion? Or maybe it's just simply it's been a while since you've deepened the breath. Notice your mental and emotional body. Is the mind wandering today? Are there emotions there at the surface that feel a bit raw? Just noticing whatever is there for you. Our wisdom body. So we're moving in, we're going to the inner layers of our being. And this one is our wisdom body, the seat of intuition or inner knowing. Check in. Do you feel connected to your intuition? Or do you have a lot of fears and doubts or uncertainty? Again, not a judgment, just noticing what is. And then that final or deepest layer within us of peace, bliss, that's our essence. We forget. And this practice reminds us to come home to that. So maybe you'll capture glimpses of it in the practice. Maybe you'll ride that wave for the entire class. Now let's go ahead and come back into the awareness of your breath, deepening it, evening it out. And we're going to connect our movement with our upper body with our breath, and we'll be playing with this particular arm and breath movement off and on throughout the practice. So bring the palms together here at the belly. Right, so our Anjali Mudra. And on your inhale, we're going to draw the energy up from the earth through the spine, reaching overhead. And on the exhale, allow the arms to float out wide. And we're just going to do this several times. Inhaling, reaching up, drawing up. And then exhale, release out wide. And be with your experience here, right? And accept whatever that is. Whatever emotions are arising, whatever you're feeling physically. We're just connecting breath and movement with the intention of acceptance. And on your next exhale, bring the palms to your lap, just palms down for a moment. And just noticing any shifts. Maybe there's been nothing. Just whatever is. Let's start with a little cat-cow in a seated position. So on an exhale, round the spine, round the shoulders, drop the head. And then as you press your fingertips into the thighs, we lengthen the spine, lift the heart, draw the shoulders back, and if it's safe on the neck, take the gaze up to the ceiling. And then exhale and round. Inhaling, open. And exhaling, round. Continue to check in with the body here as we invite it gently into the practice, so we can come into body awareness as we move with the breath. See what's coming up for you here through the spine. Everywhere from the neck all the way down to the low back. Maybe you feel stuff in the hips or the shoulders. And then we can take this into a bit of a seated twist. So as you exhale, bring the opposite or one shoulder to the opposite knee. And then inhale, back upright, facing forward, and then exhale and twist to the other side. Very mild twist. Just continuing to connect breath and body. Continuing with the intention of acceptance of whatever arises, whether that's something physical, emotional, spiritual. And when you've gone equally side to side, find your way back to center. And then we're going to remove anything we're sitting on and find our way into down dog. So we're going to come right into down dog this morning. So as we're also working with the energy of the earth this morning from the start of that practice with that mudra, really feel like you're plugging your hands into the earth through the mat. We curl our toes under, so now we're going to plug our feet into the earth, and we allow the down dog to be led by the tailbone. So engage the core and just start to lift that tailbone way up to the sky, knees bent here to begin with. And just breathe here. You might want to walk it out a little bit. And just pedaling the feet, shifting through the hips. And when you feel complete there, go ahead and inhale to the knees. And exhale into a child's pose. Take 3 breaths here. Nice, long, slow breaths. An idea of going inward. And then we'll come back up, find our way into down dog again, plug into the earth. Lead with the tailbone. Take about 2 full breaths here. So whether you come in and just hold in the pose or walk it out, after 2 full breaths, come back down to the knees. Exhale into child's, 2 breaths. And then from here, we'll go ahead and find our way into our mini flow. Inhaling to knees, exhaling down dog. Inhale back to knees, and exhale child's. And just flowing like this at your own pace. If it would feel good to speed this up a bit, that's fine. If it's staying more slow and mindful of your practice today, stay there. Allow this practice to meet you where you are. And notice if your choices are coming from that inner listening or from the mind. Okay, so learning to distinguish between our thoughts that like to rule the show, or if we're coming from our hearts and from a deeper listening within as to what's for your highest good today. And then the next time you find your way into a child's pose, pause once again. Just a few breaths here, 2, 3 breaths. Feel the practice. And we're going to go ahead. Start to come up to your knees, bring the hands to your belly where we were as you inhale up through center. So we're going to come through that connection of breath and arm movement again. Exhale, you open out wide and slowly release back into a child's pose. And the arms are behind you now. And then you inhale, use your core to come back up, hands through center. Exhale around. And into your child's pose. And a few more times, just finding your own pace and rhythm here. So if you're connecting in with that mudra that we began with, of drawing energy from the earth, you can continue with that here as you draw the hands up through center, bringing in that nourishment And maybe this time allowing it to spread externally around you as well. So you create a bubble of nourishment within and around. And if that's not resonating with you, go with what is. Allow this practice to meet you where you are. And continue with the intention of acceptance of wherever that is. And the next time you find your way back into a child's pause, extend the arms out in front of you. And let's come on up into a low lunge. So bring the right foot forward. If you'd like to use blocks, go ahead and grab those here. I'm going to turn around the other way. Okay. So let's begin with our lunge rock. So inhaling forward, just check things out here. Notice that left hip flexor. And as you exhale, draw back. We're checking in with that hamstring, maybe even behind the knee and all the way to the calf and the Achilles. So we're just kind of noticing what's going on here in the lower half of the body. Next time you come forward, go ahead and softly release into that hip flexor. Our stance between the right foot and the left knee should be far enough apart that as you release into this left hip flexor, that knee stays aligned over the ankle or at the very least behind the toes. All right, so just be aware of that. Make that stance, take that left leg back farther if you need to. We're just going to hold right here for a moment in this stretch and breathe. So breathe from the earth. We're staying low to the ground here right now. So we're plugging in. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then after that second breath, we're going to go ahead and come back into a stretch with the hamstring and pause there for a moment. You can keep the hands where they are, whether you're on blocks or using the mat, or you can walk the blocks or your hands back with you and just find the stretch here. We've been playing with that anterior tip of the pelvis, so notice if you're really rounded underneath, if you've tucked that tailbone and really shortened that hamstring attachment, really where we want to be. If your hamstrings are tight, then bend the knee more, but find that lengthening in the spine. We want to keep that length in the low back. Go ahead and bend into the front knee. Move the blocks just off your mat. And then come on up in your lunge. And we're kind of rocking back just a little bit. So we're not in our lunge fully. We're kind of in a more neutral position. All right. And we're going to come just 3 rounds here. Hands at your belly. Inhale, up through center. And then exhale, open the arms wide and find your way into your lunge. And then the inhale brings you up out of the lunge a bit, and then the exhale drops you back in again. And just continue one more time, inhale. Exhale, open wide. Now this time we're going to come in and hold, and you can find the expression of the pose that resonates with you. So Maybe it's keeping the arms wide. Maybe it's bringing them to your heart. Maybe it's straight overhead. Maybe it's interlacing behind you. We had a lot of options. Maybe it's hands at your heart. Just noticing where that is for you as we softly rest in this low lunge on this side. And take 3 more breaths. Long, smooth, even breaths. And then after that third exhale, we're going to place our hands in the mat in front, press back into down dog, and just walk that out a little bit. And then inhale back to the knees. Exhale into child's. Inhale up onto the knees as you bring the hands up through center. And exhale out wide and find your way back into the child's pose, arms behind you. And then walk the arms out in front. Come back up to hands and knees, and this time we'll bring our left foot forward, so we'll work the lunge on the other side. If you're using blocks, go ahead and place those. And then we'll find our lunge rock here. So the inhale brings you forward. Check in with that alignment again. Where's that knee? Make sure it's behind the toes. Make the adjustments if it's not. And then exhale, we draw back. Inhale forward. Let's do about 3 or 4 more. Back and forth. Next time we come forward, let's pause in that stretch. So just very softly stretching into that hip flexor. Now we're the right hip flexor. Keep the breath steady, accepting whatever's coming up, whatever you're feeling emotionally, physically. Go ahead and rock that back. You can keep your hands extended out in front or walk them back with you. Toes can stay in the floor, come off the floor. So really notice what's going on in the low back. So anteriorly tip the pelvis or kind of dump the pelvis forward like you're trying to create a back bend. So you lengthen that low back. And breathe here. And then we'll slowly bend the knee, bring the blocks up off your mat, and come on up into the lunge. So right now I'm minimally bent in my left knee, and I'm not dropping into my lunge. we're gonna bring our palms together, low at our bellies. Inhale, draw that nourishment up, and exhale, open wide as you release into the lunge. And then again, inhale, and exhale. this time as you open wide and find your way into your lunge, find the expression in the upper body that resonates with you. All the same options apply as we drop in here and breathe. Breathe into that intention of acceptance. Two more breaths here. Your exhale will bring our palms to the front of our mats. Press back into down dog. Maybe walk that out a bit. Inhale back to the knees. Exhale, child's. And then inhaling up through center. Exhale around. Arms are behind you, lowering back down into child's pose. Extend the arms out in front. Inhaling up. And this time bring the right knee forward again. Right foot, excuse me. Left toes curled under. And we're going to go ahead and come on up into a high lunge. Now, if that's not in your practice, you're welcome to stay in the low lunge and repeat what we just did. If you'd like to try something a little stronger, you can come on up into the high lunge. We're going to straighten the leg to begin with. Hands down low together. Inhale, everything extends. You're pressing down into the earth as the hands reach up. And then we exhale, we lower into this high lunge. And then the inhale, draw down to reach up. And exhale around. Bending into that front knee as little or as much as is right for you. Last round, inhale up. Exhale, bend into that front knee. And just like we did in the low lunge, find your expression in your upper body. Feel that rooting down into the earth or the plugging of the feet into the earth. Connected into that idea of groundedness and stability. And when we feel grounded, it's easier to find acceptance within ourselves, with others, with challenges that show up in our life. Your next exhale, allow the arms to open wide. Place them down at the front of your mat. And again, press back into down dog. Walk that out. Inhale back to the knees. Exhale into child's pose. Inhale up as you bring the palms through center. Exhale around, arms by your side, lowering back into a child's pose. Extend the arms out in front. Inhale back up to hands and knees. And then we'll bring our left foot forward. Okay, so again, your option, lower high lunge. We're going to come on up as we straighten the front leg to begin with. Palms together at your belly. Inhale up through center, press down to lift up. Lengthening the spine, engage the core. Exhale wide as you bend the knee. And then inhale back up through center. And exhale. Last time, inhaling. Exhale wide, and now again, find the expression in your upper body on this side. It doesn't have to be the same as the other side. Connecting with your breath. Keep breathing into that idea of acceptance. Two more breaths here. And on that exhale, fold forward, press back into down dog. Stay with the breath. Inhale to the knees. Exhale, child's. Inhale up through center. Exhale around, arms by your side, drop back into a child's pose. And extend the arms out in front. Inhale back to hands and knees, right foot forward. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, except that we're going to be in a warrior one. So the only difference between a lunge and warrior one is that back foot will be planted. Right? So we're going to take that back foot, anchor it into the floor. So you want to find a stance that allows that left heel to be in the floor. Right? And use your core, come on up. The leg straightens out as we come up. Make any adjustments in your foundation you need to. So if you're too wide, narrow the feet. Okay, if you want to take your stance wider, do that. Okay, your feet are aligned with your hips, so your left foot is directly behind the left foot, or left hip, and the right foot is directly in front of the right hip. Okay, so they're square. Bring the palms together. Keep the spine tall, core strong. Inhale up through center. Exhale, bend into that front knee, warrior one. And then again, inhale up. Rooting down to reach up. Exhale, let it all go. Acceptance. One more time, inhale. And this time, exhale, hold. Find your pose, find the expression in your pose. Trust that. That's another trusting of your intuition as to where you're guided. So notice if you have the tendency to ask yourself, is this right or is this right? Is this wrong? Am I doing it right or wrong? And be in your experience. Trust it. Trust your choices. That's what that mudra was about also, trust and confidence. And exhale, on your next exhale, allow the arms to open wide, fold forward, press back into down dog. Inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, child's. Inhale all the way up through center from the knees. Exhale around, arms by your side, drop back into child's pose. It's just a safer way to do this for the back than extending the arms out in front. Now bring the arms out in front as you inhale back to hands and knees and bring the left foot forward. So warrior one on the other side, plant that right foot. You can shift your foundation once you come up if you need to. Press down to come up. Okay. Make any adjustments with the feet so you feel stable and grounded. Palms at your belly. Go ahead, inhale, press down to reach up, lengthening, maintain that length as you exhale and bend into that front knee, but the spine stays long. Inhale, and exhale around. After that third round, we come in and we hold in the pose, finding your upper body expression. Trust where you're guided. Drop into the breath. Two more breaths here. Your exhale, fold forward. Press back into down dog. Inhale to the knees. Exhale, child's. So we're going to pause here on this one. So your head can come to the floor. Maybe it wants to rest on your hands with a slight lift. Breathe into the back body and feel the practice so far. You can check in with those layers. How's the physical body responding to your choices? How's the breath and energy body feel? What's going on there? Mental, emotional body. It's about being curious, not about judging something. Just recognizing. Extend the arms back out in front if they're not. Inhale back to hands and knees. Exhale, down dog. And let's go ahead and walk the feet to our hands. So standing forward fold. Allow the spine to drape over the thighs. Head to hang, shoulders hang, just really letting things go. The upper body releasing, lengthening over, cascading. And then bring your hands to your hips. Bend the knees on this one to come up for the first time, but engage the core, lengthen the spine. Okay, so the heart starts to lift and then come up. So that's a nice safe way for the low back, is if we bend our knees first. So I'm just finding my way to the front of the mat so I face the camera, but you can stay where you are. Feet parallel, hips underneath. And we're going to play with that, inhaling and exhaling into a forward fold. All right, so we're essentially doing what we did from our knees from standing. So hands together, starting at the belly. The inhale, press down through the feet, like energetically be aware of connecting the feet into the earth as the inhale lifts and lengthens. And the exhale, arms open wide, heart floats forward, core engaged, spine long, all the way back down into that forward fold. Now, if coming all the way down doesn't serve you, you can always go halfway. Bend the knees, engage the core, palms together, and then inhale up through center. And then exhale out wide, spine long, core engaged, heart leads. Engage the core, bend the knees, and inhale back up through center. Exhale, float forward. Inhale back up. Exhale, float forward. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, float forward. Pause again on your forward fold, Uttanasana, let the head go. Take 3 full breaths here. Folding inward, diving inward. Accepting how far you can go or can't go. It's all right, it's all good. And then on your next inhale, bend the knees, engage the core, move up through center. And exhale around, arms by your side. Tadasana or mountain pose. Let's take a few breaths here. So from the front of our mats, we're going to step our right foot back. We're going to come into a warrior two, a moving warrior two. So first, notice how wide you want your stance. And some of that is determined by how deeply you're going to bend into that front knee. So if you're wanting to do a strong pose and really drop in with that knee significantly bent in front, you want to make sure your stance is wide enough that the knee stays behind the toes. Okay, so that's the first thing we check in with. Warrior two is what we're coming in and out of. The spine stays tall, so we're not moving and leaning into this pose. Okay, so imagine you have a rod in your spine from the crown of the head to through the pubic bone to the floor. Okay, and it's keeping you upright. All right, so palms here at your belly. We inhale, reach up. Exhale into the pose. Stay tall and long in the spine. And then we inhale back up through center, straightening the front leg. Exhale, bend. You can even take the gaze out over the left fingertips. Follow that left hand back to the palms together. Inhale up through center. And this is our third round. So we're going to exhale and hold here, warrior two. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Relax the toes. So finding the areas that we can soften that are not necessary to maintain the integrity of the pose. Find your breath. And the intention of acceptance, as well as trust and confidence. So if those are resonating with you more, breathe into that. First, release the arms. Begin to straighten the leg, and then step that back foot up to the front of your mat. Okay, I'm going to turn around since we're going to come to the other side. You can stay where you are. All right, so left foot steps back. Find your stance. So we always get into the foundation of any pose. So how much you're going to bend into that front knee. Does it stay aligned over the ankle or come out in front of the toes? If it comes out in front of the toes, step that left foot back farther. Okay, so that's the first thing we check in on. Spine is tall. Come into that rod again, that imaginary rod. And then from here, palms together, cores engaged. Inhale, reach up through center, and then exhale, bend into the front knee as you find your way into warrior two. And then straighten that front leg as you inhale up through center. And exhale. And last time, inhaling up. And exhale. And this time we'll pause and hold. You may want to shift your gaze out over those right fingertips. So we look where we're going. These poses, warrior poses in of themselves, are about trust and confidence. Right? That we can meet life's challenges. We can trust ourselves to meet them. We have confidence in ourselves to meet them. Slow, deep, even breaths. Two more breaths here. And then we'll release the arms, begin to straighten that front leg, and step that back foot forward. So we're back at the front of your mat, feet directly underneath you. Take a moment to feel the practice and to find acceptance of whatever's showing up. All right, so I'd like to do at least one balancing pose this morning. So really check in with yourself on how grounded you are feeling. Hopefully the practice has helped you to feel that a little bit more if you weren't. If not, then are you willing to find a wall or something that can assist you? So be willing to modify where you need to. Okay, so from here we're going to go ahead, we're going to do tree pose, Vrikshasana. We're going to keep the left foot planted in the earth first. So this is our trunk, that left leg is our trunk. You can pick your favorite tree, so if an imagery helps, there's a majestic oak that you love or whatever your favorite tree might be. And then we're going to take our right heel and just lightly rest it on the left ankle. The right toes are still on the floor. Okay, so now just kind of feel into that. So we have a tendency to want to rush into the poses because we know them, and yet there's this entire journey of getting there. And the journey of this practice is getting grounded first, of moving more slowly, mindfully, consciously, and then finding acceptance along the way of what's showing up. So now maybe you feel stable enough. You found your drishti, right? Find our gazing point. There's a spot on the floor or the ceiling or something straight in front of you that's not moving. Right? And then maybe the foot can come to the calf. Maybe for some of you the foot can tuck up into the inner thigh. Press the foot and the thigh together. Create that strength. And then find your branches. Where are your branches today? Are the hands at the heart, reaching overhead, somewhere out wide? And then make sure you're breathing. Slowly find your way out of the pose, both feet underneath you. Shake that left leg out. We're going to switch sides. Okay. So the right foot will stay planted. Right leg nice and strong without locking into the knee. So if you do have a tendency to lock into your joints, make sure you're not doing so with the knee. Okay, for an extended period of time, we can actually pass out. So it's very important we don't lock into our joints. And then our left toes on the floor, left heel on the ankle. Notice how it feels on this side. You might want to stay here. You're already wading a lot into this leg and asking a lot of it, so that may be enough for you. You're breathing, steady breaths. finding your drishti, your gazing point, and then decide, does the foot want to stay there or come to the calf? Does it want to go to the inner thigh? And then find your branches and steady your breath. And we'll release that side, place both feet in the floor, shake that right leg out a bit. Nice. So we're going to do one more balancing pose, knee to chest. This is a modified version of hand to big toe. So we're drawing the knee, we're going to draw the knee into the chest, but ultimately the pose is about grabbing that big toe here, but we're not going to go there unless you want to. You can go there if you want to. And if you do want to, I just want you to be very aware of what's going on in your spine. So I'll stand sideways to the camera. And we want to stay tall. Root down through that left foot. Engage with the core. Find your drishti. Right? And then bring that knee up. Maybe your pose is just here today. Just practicing bringing that foot, the knee out in front, and just slowly bring the foot up and off the floor. You're asking a lot of that left leg right there. And maybe you can bring it up halfway. Maybe you can bring it all the way into the chest. Now you can bring maybe both hands to the knee, or notice if extending one arm all the way up or out wide helps with your balance a bit. Keep lengthening up out of that low back in particular, and keep the breath steady. And from here, if you want to, you can start to open the knee wide. And then we'll bring that back down. Bring that foot into the floor and shake out that left leg. Good. Standing leg works hard. Even if you're not having that foot off the ground the whole time, it's doing a lot of work there. So now we're the right foot. Again, remember not to lock the knee, but it's still strong. The leg feels strong and steady as you root into the earth with that right foot. Bring that left foot out in front of you and maybe up off the floor. Right? So this can be the practice here. Maybe the knee can come up. And then maybe the right arm grabs the knee or reaches overhead. Everything's lengthening. As you root down, we reach up. Are you breathing? Is your core engaged? And we lower everything back down. Shake out that right leg. Okay, so from the front of your mats, let's go ahead, inhale, reach up. We're going to come into a seated position. Exhale, fold forward. And walk both feet back. Find down dog for just a moment. And then come to the knees. And this time, open them wide. So almost as wide as your mat, if not wider if you want. Big toes touch. And then drop the torso between the thighs. Your head can come to the floor. You can come to your hands. Let the belly relax here. And breathe into the low back. And the mid back. And then bring the breath into the upper back. So full body breathing. And then let's, from here, find your way up to a straddle, or seated straddle. Have a block with you, you might want to use it. And I know some of you own bolsters. And this is a really nice way to find a more restorative position. So once we find our straddle, which we want it to be just a soft stretch. So if you're opened up so wide that you're already in an intense stretch, then reconsider. Try to close them a little bit, all right? And I just want to show this because I know some of you do have bolsters here with you. You can make this more of a restorative position. I bring the bolster out in front of me at an angle, and I can actually lean my third eye, my forehead on the bolster, and find the pose here. And this is very quieting. Anytime we have gentle pressure on the third eye, it's very quieting. So I just wanted to throw that out for some of you who do have bolsters if you want to do that. Otherwise, we're going to take a block. We'll start with level 3. Feet are flexed. If you have very tight hamstrings, you might want to consider 2 fascia balls or rolled pillows or blankets or something underneath the knees. That can be very helpful. We'll place the palms at level 3 in the bolster. Block. If you don't have one, you can be on the floor. That's okay too. But just keeping the spine upright. And as we work our way forward, we're going to just do this very slowly. Continue to be aware of what's going on in the knees, that they stay up to the ceiling, that the legs don't sickle in. Okay, we want to keep them, the knees up, toes up. Right? So even as I lean forward here, now we're leaning in our hip flexors, not our waist. Okay, so the spine stays extended, and then we slowly work our way forward. And then if you want, you can lower the block. And keep the core gently engaged. You have another level to lower. Maybe it's coming to the forearms here. And it could be removing the block altogether. Nice, full, deep breaths. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then we'll slowly find our way back up. Shake that out a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and roll onto our backs. have a block nearby still, you may or may not use a blanket. For now, let's leave the blanket off from the head for now. And then we'll go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. So rounding that low back, hugging them in. Inhale, arm lengths away, exhale towards you. So a little Apanasana. Coordinating breath and movement. Working our way back down towards the earth. Coming into our releases, preparing ourselves for Shavasana, where we will receive and integrate whatever gifts this practice had for us today. Let's take this into knee circles. Big or small, you can circle, and we're just circling in one direction right now. And then switch and circle the other way. And then bring your feet into the floor, hip width apart, parallel, maybe about 4 inches from your buttocks. Arms by your side, palms down, roll the shoulders underneath you. So feel the areas of the body that are connecting into the earth here, the bottoms of your feet, the length of your arms, your palms, your tailbone, upper back, back of your head, right? Just notice the areas of the body that are touching the earth, touching your mat. And then just be aware of how that shifts as we move in and out of bridge pose, just through the lower half of the body. So start to tuck the tailbone under, flatten the low back into the floor, and then as you press into the feet, feel each vertebrae roll up off the mat. They're no longer making contact with the earth, and they're floating in space. And then exhale and bring them back down into the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae, as you find your way back into the neutral spine. Pressing into the feet again, inhale, roll the hips up. And exhale, roll back down. And just moving with this at your own pace for a few rounds. Many of you know other versions of this pose that we've done often with the arms. If you want to, you're welcome to engage the arms. So listen to that. If you were intuitively thinking that would be nice to do, go for it. Right? That's that listening from within. Trusting yourself, your inner self. And the next time you find your way back down into a neutral position, we're going to come into a restorative bridge pose where you can use your block, or if you have a fascia ball, you can place that underneath the tailbone instead, which is softer. It's kind of nice, so you're welcome to do that instead. Otherwise, we'll take our block at its flattest level, place it right on the tailbone so that the spine stays neutral. Rest your palms on your belly. And come into the breath. So gentle belly breathing. And you can Keep the feet in the floor. You might want to bring them a little bit wider than your hips and let the knees kind of fall towards one another. The other option is to pick the feet up off the floor. Sometimes that feels nice. Or even extend the legs to the ceiling. Allow the facial muscles to relax, your neck and shoulders. And then just softly breathing into the belly, allowing it to rise and fall with the breath. So, restorative bridge pose. Well, bridge pose in general is really good for the thyroid. When we bring our feet up off the floor, it's really nice for reducing fluid in the legs. This is really nice for the low back and can be deeply relaxing. Take about 5 or 6 more breaths here, nice and slow, deep, even breaths. At the completion of those breaths, bend the knees, place the feet on the floor if they're not. Remove the prop you have underneath you. Let the spine settle into the earth in a neutral position for a moment. Just feel the effects of that restorative bridge pose. Any sensations, just notice them. And then we'll find our way into our releases of hip hikers and pointers. So just sliding the hips up the mat towards the shoulders. So hip hikers or hip sliders. Breath is still flowing. And then bring that to neutral. Hip pointers. Press into the right foot, point the right hip bone up to the ceiling and back down. And then reverse that. And then go back to the hip sliders, hikers. And then to the hip pointers. So just slowly alternate between the two here. Take another 5 or 6 deep breaths. And then we'll find our way now into Shavasana. So notice whether you'd like a blanket or a pillow underneath your head, something rolled underneath the knees, which really supports the low back as you extend the legs out. If you have a bolster, great place to use a bolster. We'll open our arms wide, palms up, allowing the heart to open, shoulders to softly roll back. When you've settled into the just right position for you, close the eyes softly. If you have an eye pillow, that's nice. And as you drop into your Shavasana, you can once again check in with those layers of your being and find acceptance of whatever you discover. Physical, breath, and energy body, mental and emotional body, wisdom body. And maybe there were glimpses of that bliss body. Maybe you were there the whole time. Accepting the practice, what it offered, and what it had to show you. The mind wanders, come back to the breath. Just observing the body breathing without shaping it. Deepen the breath, wiggle some fingers and toes, slowly finding your way back. Maybe stretching overhead. Eventually rolling to one side. And then finding your way to a seated position. And I'm going to invite you back just for a couple minutes into the Shiva Lingam Mudra, just to connect with that one more time at the completion of the practice. So left palm slightly cupped and up, right hand fingers curled in a fist, soft fist, resting in that left palm, right thumb up. Trust, confidence, acceptance, calming, groundedness, a connection into the earth, a balancing of all three doshas, works with the first and second chakra. So finding an acceptance of whatever this experience has been for you. Here, let's bring our palms together to our hearts. Acknowledge this time you gave yourself today. May you be at peace. May your hearts remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. And may you be a source of healing for all beings. Thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher today. Namaste.